Plato's concept of anamnesis is indeed a profound and foundational idea in Western philosophy, tying together metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics. It offers a vision of knowledge not as something external that we acquire, but as something internal that we recollect. Let's deepen the exploration of this idea and expand on its implications, connections to other traditions, and potential reinterpretations in modern or novel philosophical frameworks. Anamnesis and the immortality of the soul. In Plato's dialogues, particularly the Meno and the Phaedo, the idea that the soul is immortal serves as a cornerstone for his theory of anamnesis. Plato, through Socratic dialogue, suggests that the soul is eternal, existing before it enters the body and continuing after the body's death. This immortality allows the soul to move through a series of incarnations in which it accumulates experiences that shape its trajectory toward truth. This notion challenges the common view that knowledge is gained purely through sensory experience. Instead, for Plato, all learning is the process of recollection, as the soul already possesses knowledge of the forms, perfect, eternal realities that transcend the material world. These forms represent the ultimate truths, such as beauty, justice, equality, and goodness, which exist beyond the fluctuating, imperfect world of appearances. In this context, the soul's journey can be seen as one of self-realization. As the soul recollects its forgotten knowledge, it ascends toward its ultimate source, the form of the good. This is Plato's metaphysical equivalent to the divine. The good is the ultimate reality, the principle that illuminates all other forms and enables the soul to understand truth, beauty, and justice. The role of recollection in learning. The Meno contains one of the most famous demonstrations of anamnesis. In the dialogue, Socrates guides a slave boy with no formal education through a series of questions that lead the boy to solve a geometry problem. Socrates argues that the boy is not learning geometry for the first time. Rather, he is recalling the geometric truths his soul already knew before this life. This not only underscores the idea that all knowledge is latent within us, but also suggests a radical understanding of education. The teacher's role is not to impart knowledge, but to help students recollect what their souls already understand. This perspective shifts the focus of knowledge acquisition away from sensory data and empirical investigation, placing it squarely on an internal process of awakening. Learning for Plato becomes a spiritual and intellectual exercise, where dialogue and dialectic are methods of drawing the soul's latent wisdom into conscious awareness. Anamnesis and the forms, knowledge of eternal truths. At the core of Plato's theory of anamnesis is his theory of the forms, which are abstract, perfect concepts that exist independently of the physical world. These forms are the ultimate realities, while the objects we perceive in the material world are mere shadows or reflections of these perfect forms. For instance, when we recognize beauty in a painting or person, we are not perceiving beauty itself, but an imperfect reflection of the form of beauty. The soul, before its incarnation in the physical body, has direct knowledge of these forms, existing in their proximity in a non-material realm. However, when the soul is born into a human body, it forgets this knowledge due to the distractions and limitations of the material world. This state of forgetfulness is what Plato describes as ignorance, and the process of learning is essentially the recovery of the knowledge of these eternal truths that the soul has temporarily lost. This has significant implications for epistemology, the study of how we know what we know. For Plato, knowledge is not empirical, it is a priori. That is, it exists prior to and independent of experience. We do not learn truths about justice, beauty, or equality from our experience in the physical world. Rather, we recognize them because our soul already knows them from its previous encounters with the forms. Anamnesis and the soul's journey toward the divine. In addition to being a theory of knowledge, anamnesis has profound ethical and metaphysical implications. Plato suggests that the soul's ultimate goal is to return to the realm of the divine, the form of the good. Over successive lifetimes, the soul strives to recollect more and more of the knowledge it once possessed. As the soul becomes more attuned to the eternal truths, it grows closer to its divine nature. This journey toward the divine involves not only intellectual recollection, but also moral purification. The more the soul recollects the truth, the more virtuous and just it becomes. Plato envisions this as a process of spiritual ascent, where the soul rises above the distractions and imperfections of the physical world to contemplate the pure, unchanging reality.